The shadow of the Buddha in the palace, the hidden concubine of the Kangxi harem. Chapter 1, Crossing in Doubt. On a sunny afternoon, Wei Yingcheng was about to end her day. She put down the pen in her hand and planned to rest for a while. She never thought that because of a sudden lightning storm, she would travel into the court world during the Kangxi period of the Qing dynasty. When she woke up, everything in front of her was no longer the modern city she was familiar with, surrounded by old buildings, and the clothes she was wearing were completely out of this era. A name quickly popped up in her mind, Wei Yingcheng. She became Kangxi's cousin, the blood relative of the famous Qing dynasty emperor. However, as a modern person, Wei Yingcheng only wants to live a quiet and comfortable life. She has been a Buddhist believer in her family since she was a child, and her heart is sincere to the Buddha, always hoping to eat fast and pray for the Buddha, away from the prosperity and strife of the world. Her only wish was to be able to hide in the mountains and live a life free of contention, carefree and away from the intrigues of the court. However, fate did not seem to intend to go her way. One day, Wei Yingcheng's family summoned her back and told her a reality she had to face. She would become a concubine in Kangxi's harem. This was not the path she chose, but due to the interests and demands of her family, she had no choice but to accept it. So, Wei Yingcheng entered this treacherous harem with a reluctant heart. Chapter 2, The Haze of the Harem. Wei Yingcheng did not show her edge immediately after entering the palace. She still maintained a heart-like a state of mind, reciting scriptures every day, eating fasting and practicing, as if she had no quarrel with the world. The only goal in her mind is to leave this place where power and struggle are intertwined as soon as possible and live the comfortable life of her dreams. However, the situation in the harem is far from as simple as she thinks. Emperor Kangxi has many concubines, and they are deceitful, and they are staging power plots and struggles all the time. And her own sister, Wei Gairen, is a very favored sister-in-law, but unfortunately died in a fight, which makes her have to re-examine the environment in which she lives. Everyone around her may be her enemy or backer, who can trust and who can rely on her. Although Wei Yingcheng was reluctant to get involved in the disputes in the palace, when her family was implicated, danger began to approach bit by bit. She knew that if she didn't stand on her own feet, she could have nothing and even her own life in danger. Chapter 3, Prudence in the First Ray. In the harem, the daily days are as monotonous as flowing water, but this calm does not hide the rising clouds in the palace. As time passed, Wei Yingcheng found that her practice of chanting scriptures could no longer protect her family and herself. When her family's rights and interests were implicated in Emperor Kangxi's power structure, she had to face reality and begin to learn how to make a living in the palace. Wei Yingcheng's initial behavior was very low-key. She tried not to attract attention, insisting on not participating in any palace battles, but her nobility and gentleness attracted the attention of many people. Among those harem women who do anything to compete for favor and power, Wei Yingcheng is particularly different. Her indifference and calmness, although she has never clinged to the relationship of power, also made her receive the special attention of Emperor Kangxi. Emperor Kangxi once mentioned Wei Yingcheng's performance in a meeting, saying that although she did not fight or win, she had an unusual temperament. Because of this, although Wei Yingcheng was reluctant to go deep into the power struggle, she was still involved in the whirlpool of the court, and gradually, she had to face not only the challenge of the ministers, but also the secret competition from the palace concubines. Chapter 4, Conspiracy and the Choice of Life and Death. One day, Wei Yingcheng's good friend Li Concubine suddenly came to her and told her a bombshell news in the palace. Wei Gairen's death was not a simple death from illness, but a well-planned murder. The black hand behind it is a concubine in the palace, who colludes with a high-ranking official to control Emperor Kangxi's decision-making. Wei Yingcheng was shocked and angry by the news that her sister had died in a conspiracy, which made her deeply aware that every minute and every second in this court could be fatal. She must find out who is behind it, avenge her sister, and fight for her family's survival. From then on, Wei Yingcheng began to investigate everyone in the palace, and gradually found that behind this palace struggle, many ministers and high-ranking officials around Emperor Kangxi were involved. They used conspiracy as a tool in a vain attempt to control the entire regime, and Emperor Kangxi did not seem to be as wise and powerful as he appeared, and there were many unknown secrets hidden in his heart. Wei Yingcheng not only has to protect herself, but also her friends and family. She began to learn how to deal with the intrigues and murderous motives in the palace, and she had to let go of her once pure mind and turn the recitation of Buddhist scriptures into a strategy, dealing with everything with psychology and wisdom. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 5, UPS and Downs and Awakenings. As the situation in the palace deteriorated, Wei Yingcheng began to contact other women in the harem as a last resort, forming a weak alliance. Their goal is not to compete for favor in the harem, but to fight together against the escalating conspiracy in the palace. However, the deeper she delved into this power struggle, the more Wei Yingcheng found that the court she was in was no longer a simple power struggle, but a race against fate. The powerful ministers around Emperor Kangxi have made this struggle more and more complicated, and she must use her wisdom and courage to get out of this long conspiracy. Eventually, Wei Yingcheng realized that she could no longer rely solely on Buddhist scriptures and a pious state of mind to resist all this. In this treacherous court struggle, she must learn how to be self-reliant, and how to shake the pattern of the entire court with her own strength. Her faith and wisdom will become her greatest weapon, and this game of love, power, and destiny has just begun. Chapter 6, Imperial Courts. Wei Yingcheng's wisdom and firmness gradually gained more attention in the harem, especially her indisputable attitude, which made many people begin to rethink their choices. She does not seek power, but her presence has inadvertently become an indicator for many people. This made her status in the palace quietly rise, but at the same time, it also pushed her into an even more dangerous situation. One day, when Wei Yingcheng was walking in the garden of the palace, he met Emperor Kangxi by chance. At this time, Kangxi's eyes no longer only had the previous coldness and majesty, but more of an indescribable depth. When Emperor Kangxi saw her, he smiled slightly, and then said, "Yingcheng, your cultivation state of mind is indisputable with the world, but it makes me reflect on myself a little." This sentence made Wei Yingcheng's heart move slightly. She knew that this was not a simple greeting, but that Emperor Kangxi was silently conveying some kind of message. He seemed to be seeking her advice, or trying to draw her into a more intricate court struggle. She was instantly alert in her heart, and then replied, "Your Majesty, the concubine just hopes that everyone can live a stable life with a pure heart and few desires. If you can help your Majesty clear the harem conspiracy, the concubines should go all out, but if your Majesty feels that the concubines are not suitable, they are willing to retire at any time." After hearing this, a hint of strange color flashed in Emperor Kangxi's eyes, and then he nodded slowly, as if he was satisfied with her answer. "You have such a heart, let me admire. If there is something difficult in the future, I will definitely ask you to help." Then, Emperor Kangxi turned around and left, leaving a silent wind behind her. These words made Wei Yingcheng's mood even heavier. She knew that her situation could no longer be so simple to withdraw. Each of her choices will affect the fate of many people in this court, and may even change the future of the entire country. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 7, Unraveling the Beginning of the Mystery. As time passed, the intrigue in the palace became more and more apparent. Through his usual observation and analysis, Wei Yingcheng gradually realized that in addition to the high-ranking officials and powerful ministers around Emperor Kangxi, there was a more hidden force that was secretly indulging everything. This force does not seem to be limited to the harem, but even extends to the court. One day, Wei Yingcheng heard a major secret about Emperor Kangxi in a private meeting with Concubine Li. Emperor Kangxi had a deep relationship with a certain woman in the court when he was young, and that woman had some unknown connection with a very powerful minister. This news caused a huge wave in Wei Yingcheng's heart. Who is this woman? What kind of relationship does she have with those ministers in the palace? And why did Emperor Kangxi never mention this past? In order to figure out these mysteries, Wei Yingcheng began to actively search for clues in the palace, using her relationship with the harem concubines to collect intelligence silently. She found that the behavior of some high-ranking officials in the palace was becoming more and more abnormal, and it seemed that some kind of secret transaction was going on. And all of this has a deep connection with that mysterious woman. During a late-night inspection of the palace, Wei Yingcheng happened to hear a slight footstep outside the palace, and as the footsteps got closer and closer, she found herself standing quietly in front of a closed harem gate. Instinctively, she pushed the door open, only to find another large hall behind it, a place she had never seen before, with many old paintings hanging on the walls and a beautiful coffin in the center. As she approached, a cold wind struck. She looked down and found the name engraved on the coffin, Yerushui. This name was not unfamiliar to her, because she had heard her father mention it. Yerushui, Emperor Kangxi's confidant when he was young, was a reclusive woman who had a deep relationship with the ministers at the time. Her death seems to be related to some ulterior secrets in the palace. This discovery made Wei Yingcheng's heart suddenly full of doubts. She felt that all this was far from being as simple as it seemed. Yerushui's death, the battle with the harem, and the power structure in the palace must have some kind of deep connection. And these conspiracies are clearly intertwined with her own fate. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 8. The Struggle Against Fate. As she delved deeper into these secrets, Wei Yingcheng found that there was no turning back. Whether it is loyalty to Emperor Kangxi or responsibility to the family, she has been involved in a game that cannot be escaped. She began to get in touch with the high-ranking figures in the palace, and through countless conversations and inquiries, she gradually discovered the truth hidden behind the power. She knew she had to make a choice. Should she continue to live in seclusion in the palace as before, or should she bravely stand up and challenge the dark forces that once ruled the court? In the end, Wei Yingcheng chose the latter. She no longer ran away, but began to actively contact those forces who were still willing to resist, and gradually built a force to resist. In this power game, she is no longer just an observer, but a leader in changing her fate. She knew that this battle would be the hardest war of her life, but no matter what the outcome, she had to stand up and fight for a way out for herself and for those innocent. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 9. The Turning Point of the Ending. As the situation developed, the contradictions in the palace reached their peak. Wei Yingcheng's plan was gradually unveiled, and Emperor Kangxi finally became aware of her. Late one night, Emperor Kangxi personally came to her palace and had a profound conversation with her. Yingcheng, do you know that there are many things in the palace that are not as simple as you can understand? Emperor Kangxi's tone was no longer as cold as before, but with a hint of exhaustion and helplessness. Wei Yingcheng looked at him. There was no fear in his eyes, only firmness and calmness. Your Majesty, I already know the secrets of the palace and the burden you carry. Perhaps, you can no longer have a clear state of mind, but I am still willing to help you and give this court a new life. This sentence seemed to be a lightning bolt that hit Emperor Kangxi's heart. He stared deeply at Wei Yingcheng, as if he saw the indescribable tenacity and wisdom in her eyes. In the end, Emperor Kangxi made a choice. He decided to cooperate with Wei Yingcheng to eradicate these corrupt forces one by one and rebuild a more clear harem. Wei Yingcheng was determined to no longer be a simple cultivator, but a leader of reform in the palace. After a bleak storm, the harem finally ushered in a new life, and Wei Yingcheng also regained his destiny in his hands.